Alright, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Play and Explain video. Today, we're playing Community World No Move, which I believe is the current map for Gold and Masters players. I know a lot of people that do watch these videos are probably around that ELO range, rather than the Champions players that are on a competitive world for the current map cycle. So I thought running through Community World locations and just running through the map in general would help the players essentially get a better feel for it and kind of explain what I look for. Each map has its own kind of like meta to it. I wouldn't say Community World is like a difficult map by any means, but there can be some locations that can definitely trip people up. So yeah, I just want to talk about Community World today. We'll do the standard 25 locations with me just explaining every one. And yeah, let's just hop into it here. All right, we start off in Ireland immediately. I can just recognize this by not even panning really and looking at anything. Ireland is going to have these yellow outer dash lines. So this is not to be confused with UK lines. So sometimes UK will have solid yellow lines or sometimes even double solid yellow lines. But Ireland is the only place where you get dashed yellow outer lines like this. You can kind of see it here, but it looks like it's a little faded as well. And we're driving on the left, as you can see, where the antenna would be on the car. There's a little gap here, which indicates that we are looking at the back of the car, and that does indicate left-hand drive. And if we didn't have that, we obviously have this car behind us as well. And I also changed my cursor color to pink, just so it's a little bit easier to see for people. I'll probably change it back after this video, but for now, hopefully this is easier for most people to see, especially when I'm circling stuff or like highlighting stuff on the map, because it contrasts pretty well with most of the locations and on the map as well. All right, Ireland also is going to have this yellow diamond sign as well. The only place in Europe that uses this style of, like, I would say it's most associated with Americas, or places in Asia as well can use it. But in Europe, you'll mainly see those red triangle signs, whereas in Ireland, you'll use these diamond yellow signs. The only place in Europe that's going to have those signs. So if you are in a 50-50 and you have a diamond sign like this, you're in Ireland. If you have a red triangle sign, you're in the UK, because the UK won't use these diamond signs. All right, and yeah, English here as well. Pretty much went over everything that can be used to identify this round. And yeah, it is just Ireland there. All right, we'll move into this round. Driving right here. First thing that you subconsciously notice, I would say, is just driving direction and driving side. And as we can see here, we have a mixture of what appears to be Arabic on the sign, plus some English. And it's a very, like, I don't know, Mediterranean looking climate, I would say. Bunch of white buildings, deserty looking. I guess it's not really Mediterranean climate, but it is like a bit more of a, I don't know, deserty plus oasis-y climate? Anyway, don't know how to best describe that. All right, so we have English here with the Arabic, and we have a big UAE flag there. Usually you would see white car here. It's not visible in this location, but yeah, I mean, it's just going to be UAE here. And we are somewhere on the coast, it looks like. Let's line it up by hitting double N. I mean, it's somewhere up here. It could even be somewhere up here, but yeah, we'll just leave it here. And yeah, pretty findable, I'd say, but didn't want to take all the time scanning for it. All right, Faroe Islands next. Faroe Islands going to have these very, like, Norwegian-looking fjord mountains that you'll see on the coast of Norway, mostly. But yeah, this is just a much more, like, desolate-looking climate. Hardly any trees. We have small little bushes here. But these houses look very typical of stuff that you would see in both the Faroe Islands and Greenland, stuff like that. And we have this car. So the Faroe Islands car is going to have a roof rack like this, a little bit of brown showing on both sides usually, and then you could usually see the wing mirrors as well. And most of the cars will have EU strips because the Faroe Islands is a territory of Denmark, I believe. Yeah, just pretty big mountains on both sides. It's a pretty recognizable location once you play it. And I mean, Klaxvik, I guess it's this one. Fair enough. All right, we'll move on to the next round here, in which I notice we have these poles that are wrapping around the top of the sign. And of course, we're driving right with a yellow plate. So this yellow plate is not to be confused with the Netherlands one, which will be on every car in the Netherlands. In Denmark, where you get this pole wrapping, you'll only get the yellow car or the yellow plate on like commercial vehicles or like vans such as this. So like mostly vans, you'll see the yellow plate on in Denmark. And you know it's Denmark because Denmark is going to be the only country that has the pole wrapping around the top of the sign like this, kind of like a candy cane with the sign in the middle there. Denmark also typically uses double white lines. And if we had a guardrail to show, it would be a B-type guardrail, which means it's completely flat like this, as you can see on my cam. Whereas the A-type guardrail will have a little bit of space in between, usually, and it won't be completely flat. I'll try to bring up an A-type guardrail versus a B-type guardrail if I can, if we see one on one of these locations. And yeah, we have a pretty straightforward Denmark here, and we will move on to the next round. Just realized we're only on a 4 streak. Okay. All right, couple of things I notice here. We are weirdly driving in the center of the road, probably maybe passing this lady on the motorbike. But we do have Spanish, as we can see here, on the sign. And we have this pole paint. So a lot of poles in Colombia are going to be painted with these like black and yellow stripes. And that is quite common for that country. I don't think you really get it anywhere else with those black and yellow stripes. And we have yellow plates on this car here. So a pretty straightforward Colombia, all things considered. I think the map, you will get a few diabolical locations in Community World, but more or less, if you just use general critical thinking with your country knowledge of things, it's a bit harder to miss the country on a Community World. All right, this is a very atypical looking Japan, I'd say. We can tell it's Japan just because of this huge blur. And Japan likes to use these guardrails in which are kind of similar to Slovakian or Czechian guardrails, in which there's a little bit of space in between, but it is flat on both of the top, so there's a little gap. Which is like I don't know what the term for it is for the Czechia, Slovakia ones, but it's like B-type, but not actually B-type. And yeah, we have some Japanese on the sign there. And, a very Asian-looking car. Yeah, I don't really know how to region guess this. I mean, the foliage looks a bit more north to me. So I think I'm going to go somewhere up here. And it was just Hokkaido as well. Okay. Makes sense. All right. This one, a bit of a tougher round. We're going to try to look for some language here on the bin. Don't see anything there. We do notice that we have no car, essentially. And we can see some bollards here. So these bollards are common in both Slovenia and Austria. Serbia has similar style bollards, but the reflectors will usually be facing the road, so it'll be here, as opposed to in the middle of the bollard. So if the bollard is like this, the Slovenian Austrian bollard will be in the middle of this, so where my thumbs are basically. And then if it's Serbian bollard, it'll be on the outside, kind of like here on the bollard. If this is like the edge of the bollard that's facing the road. Hopefully that's a good enough description for you guys. But yeah, it's also not Serbia because it is Generation 4 camera. And the thing that tells me that this is Austria over Slovenia is, well, a couple of things. We do have very big alpine-looking mountains. Not to say that Slovenia can have alpine-looking mountains as well. But very Germanic-looking architecture in a way. And the thing that really confirms it for me is this bus stop. This is very similar to a bus stop that you'll see in Germany. And you can barely make out like a green H on here, which is what the both Austria and Germany use to indicate that it's a bus stop, essentially. So all those things should indicate Austria here, and it is just Austria. And we'll move on to this round, in which we have some English. And it says Thimphu on there. And just in case we don't know where Thimphu is, we can walk through what else tells me that this is actually Thimphu in Bhutan. We have a silver car here, which is pretty much common all throughout Bhutan. It's used for coverage all throughout. Sometimes it can look white. I think I had an incident where Rowan and I sent like Peru on Bhutan because we didn't think it was a silver car. We thought it was a white car. So yeah, that was quite an interesting time. But yeah, Bhutan, very mountainous country. And you'll get architecture like this, which is kind of like similar stuff that you'll see in like western parts of China, in Yunnan, and stuff like that. And then the northern part of India as well, just that alpine style architecture. It's very distinct, and you'll see a lot of metal roofs as well on top. Yeah, I mean, just building upwards and stuff in most cases. And, you know, just absolutely massive mountains with a ton of pine trees pretty much all around us. And all those things will equal Bhutan. I mean, we're going to go Thimphu here, but, I mean, this looks like a very small settlement. So, I mean, I don't know how it could be. I guess it's one valley over, which is fair enough. All right, next round. All right, this one, we have a very poor quality cam. So I feel like a lot of people know what that means. That usually either indicates Nigeria, Sao Tome and Principe. You can get it in Sri Lanka occasionally, India, Cambodia, and then sometimes in Finland as well, but and Ecuador actually. So all those countries are pretty distinct. I think the biggest 50-50 is usually between India and Cambodia, and sometimes India and Sri Lanka. Although the Sri Lanka cam, the poor quality cam, isn't like super common nowadays, I think, because a lot of it has Gen 4 and stuff. But on rural locations, you can occasionally get it. All right. So this one's actually India. We're driving left. Cambodia drives on the right. So we can automatically rule that one out. And it seems like very coastal looking architecture with like the smooth facades to it. And also like some colored houses, which makes a lot of sense. I don't know what language that is. It looks like one of the southern ones. But I probably would be sending south here anyway, with the amount of palm trees that we have. Especially, this looks more east coast than west coast. The west coast will have a bit more like red soil, and it's pretty heavily populated on most of this coast here. So yeah, I'm probably just sending somewhere in here. Okay, it was west coast, but not like west coast, like on the coast. But yeah, it just ends up being Karnataka there. We probably could have looked for a Karnataka pole, actually. So maybe I'll go back on that location after this round and take a look. All right, 2023 white car here. We have this chevron, which is very helpful in this location because it is not the most clear as to what this is. I feel like, you know, you could potentially see yourself sending like Colombia here, some Mexico. Sometimes you can get Southeast Asia mixed up quite commonly with South America. But I believe this one is Southeast Asia because nowhere in South America would use these white backdrop chevrons with red arrows. If you guys haven't caught up on your chevrons yet, I would highly encourage you guys to get practicing on those because they're pretty useful in most cases because you get chevrons on a lot of roads. And they're especially useful in Europe as well, but I digress on that. Yeah, should be Philippines here with the chevrons. Poles are a little bit odd. Initially, when I saw this, I first thought of Colombia, but then I saw the chevrons, and I realized it has to be the Philippines. So yeah, we'll be sending the Philippines here, and it ends up being south of Manila. Let's take a look at that India location real quick. Did we have a Karnataka pole? I don't see one distinctly. The Karnataka will be just like a trident pole, kind of similar to stuff that you would get in Uruguay as well. I don't see one distinctly that is a Karnataka pole. Maybe this one that's peeking up from behind the tree, but you can't really see it. This one's not, because the Karnataka pole is going to be like this, essentially. It's like a goalpost, and then the one thing protruding through the top. One of the most useful poles in India, I'd say. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, that's a 10 streak. We'll hop into another game here. And A little bit more of a difficult round here, especially for 50-50 sake. We are in Gen 3. First thought was probably Bolivia. No, wait, just Mexico, I think. Sorry, Okay, sun is very clearly south here, and we have an octagonal pole. I don't know, for some reason, I thought Bolivia, but now it's probably just Mexico near Mexico City. And the main thing that tells me that is because the sun is south. Architecture is looking quite Latin American. A lot of these, like, vans and pickup trucks, especially, the pickup trucks especially, you'll get a lot in Mexico and just the Americas in general, I feel like. We love our pickup trucks over here. Whereas in, like, places like Europe, I feel like pickup trucks aren't as common. All right, sun south, we have an octagonal pole, which is a great meta for Mexico. Most of the time, it'll say like Pemex on the lettering on the thing, on the pole. And yeah, very Mexican looking architecture. I guess we have some red brick, but yeah, this just looks like surrounding Mexico City somewhere. So we'll just click there. It was actually a Western Durango there. All right, fair enough. But we are just trying to get the country here. So sorry if my region guessing hasn't been the greatest this video, but it's kind of tough. All right, we have a ladder pole here. First thing I noticed, we're driving right as well. Big pickup truck coverage. We have these French-style bollards and short outer dashes. So we are in a French colonized country. They have all of these three things in infrastructure. France will commonly have this, and this, but we'll never have this pickup truck, of course. So looks like Africa, and it should just be Senegal here with all of these French things. Bunch of metas for Senegal. And this one actually looks south of the Gambia, so we'll be sending there, and it was just southwest. All right, white car here, and it is Gen 3. And okay. This makes it easy. We do have a Chile-style pole here. Was probably going Chile anyway, I think. But yeah, we have a couple of Chile-style poles. I think Chile also uses, like, these guy wires, which are the sheaths that cover the wires extending off of the poles way more commonly than a lot of the other countries, I guess. I've seen it in Argentina as well, but Chile uses these especially, and we do have these indented poles, which should indicate Chile to me. I guess Brazil has a similar style pole, but yeah, I mean, this is just never Brazil, right? With these huge Andean-looking mountains. And yeah, that's pretty much what tells me Chile here is that pole, plus sun is north, plus these massive mountains. Pretty cool location, honestly. First thought was like something out here, like east of Santiago, but we'll see. Yeah, it was just this road that we're on, I think. Probably could have lined it up a bit more, but it's fine. And we'll move into this round here. All right, bit of a more difficult round here, I'd say. So first thing I notice is that we have a rounded pole here, where it gets thicker at the bottom, a little bit thinner at the top, which is quite common to my knowledge in, like, Slovenia, Croatia here, and also in Czechia and Slovakia, I think, are the main places that use that kind of pole, like, commonly. We also have an A-frame pole here. Okay, so a couple of things. I'm actually not, like, 100% sure on the country. We do have no car here, which does exist in both Croatia and Slovenia, which I'm a bit concerned about both of them. I probably lean more Slovenia here with no car, plus this A-frame pole is quite common in Slovenia. I know it's quite common in Croatia as well, but the general hilliness, Ooh, I'm actually not sure here. And, you know, this is quite an issue. The road feels a bit more Croatian to me, if that makes a little bit sense. Like this lighter pavement. I mean, I think maybe I'm actually going Croatia here, especially with these white houses. With this is not an easy round. I think like 22 no car is much more common. Like by no car, I mean like you can't see any part of the car here. It's much more common in Slovenia. I wouldn't be surprised if this is just border, to be honest. We'll just send here. Okay, it was just border, and yeah, we were on the wrong side of the border there. Maybe this sticker is a bit more like this blue sticker here on the back of this sign might be a bit more Croatian. I mean, now that I look at it, it definitely feels more Croatian. I don't know, like it's really tough. But like realistically, if you're playing a duel and you get this area, I mean, it's still like a pretty good result because you can't lose too many points at the end of the day from it. All right, so we've lost it at 13. It happens even to the best of us, and we'll move on to this Turkey round. Turkey by these Australian-style bollards, but the reflectors are obviously calibrated for right-hand drive rather than left-hand drive than you would see in Australia. And they do use these white and red chevrons as well, just like a lot of other countries in Eastern Europe. And Germany as well, I think, uses it. And yeah, we're just pretty much just going to send Turkey here. And it was southwest of Eskişehir. And we'll move into another game here, and we'll start off again. First thing I notice is we are driving right. Looks like we're getting overtaken by this Volkswagen truck, which I didn't even know they made a truck. And we have a black back of sign here, which is quite common in Brazil. Yeah, this just looks quite Brazilian. We have these random hills. We also have a piranha pine here, which is a really good meta for Brazil. Obviously can be found in other places, but they are like overwhelmingly common in the southern parts of Brazil, especially in these three states, in Paraná, Santa Catarina, and Rio Grande do Sul. I haven't seen it as far north as like Minas Gerais and stuff like that, but you can get it, yeah, in Sao Paulo, Rio, and Minas Gerais. But with this one, this is looking a bit more south. This architecture looking maybe a bit more Germanic, which in the southern parts is a bit more common, at least. And yeah, we'll probably just be sending, let's see, where do I want to send here? Just coastal, like Santa Catarina or something like that. And it was just Rio Grande do Sul. Fair enough. All right, we'll move into this round here. First thing we notice is Polish on the sign. But without this sign, maybe it's a bit of a tougher location. So let's talk about why this is Poland aside from the sign. We have this pretty poor quality road. I think Polish pavement is quite recognizable. Sometimes you get poor pavement like this, but yeah, it's usually a very thin road. And the Polish tree row meta is actually very real. You can get it in bordering countries as well, but a lot of the roads will just have trees lining both sides of the road. I've seen it in Czechia and like Germany and stuff as well, but like Poland, it's very common. And it's a meta that I've been using for years. But yeah, I feel like Poland's a very recognizable country in general in most cases. We also have these Baltic pines, which are quite common in like this part of Germany, like the eastern part mostly. I have seen them in like the Black Forest region and stuff like that. But and Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and stuff like that, and then parts of Russia. So this northern belt here, it's pretty common in. Do we have a holy pole that I can show off, maybe? Yeah, it looks like a ladder pole here, and one here. So you can clearly see the holes going through. In Poland, the holes won't go all the way down to the base of the pole like they will in Hungary and Romania. It'll just like stop abruptly, like before the base of the pole. So if you're ever in a Hungary, Poland 50-50, just know there's a difference in the types of poles as well. And this A-frame, like very thin pole, like Poland typically has thinner poles like this, are quite common in Poland as well. So all those things, we're just clicking Łódź, and it ends up being a little bit more west. And we're actually might be running it back here. Yeah, we are. We are running it back here in Poland. We do have these Polish-style bollards with the red wrapping. And this sign is also quite Polish, yellow, with a very thin red border on it. Same with this sign here. Just bright yellow with a very thin red border on it. Only found in Poland. Yeah, once again, we have a ladder pole. Yes, we do. Very thin A-frame style ladder pole. And yeah, Polish tree row, once again. Look, we do have the trees lining both sides of the road, which is probably one of my favorite metas ever since I was like a noob in this game. I use that quite commonly, back when I didn't know anything about anything. All right. Here we go. We're into this round. So we have green tint on the license plates. We are in Gen 4 with a massive blur, so we're probably like covering over a pickup truck or something like that. But we do have this follow car. I feel like most players in Gold or Master will know. It is just Nigeria. We do have some hills, and you know, the architecture to me strikes me a bit more northern. And yeah, I'll probably just be clicking Abuja here. But yeah, it doesn't feel coastal. We don't see a single palm in sight. It was just Abuja. We'll move on to this round. All right. Yellow reflector in the bollards with a black background to a white arrow on the chevron equals Spain. Solo bicicletas as well. And yeah, I think those are the three things that kind of tell us Spain here. We don't have access to a sign. I guess we can kind of see this. It has a thick red border on the sign, which also indicates Spain. Although you can get this thick red border in other countries in Europe, like Romania, Belgium, stuff like that. Netherlands uses it as well. And yeah, this is a Spanish mile or kilometer marker sign that usually tells you what road number you are. And the Spanish road numbers are typically like ordered by, they're labeled by how, like the biggest city near them usually. So for an example, let's talk about something like Zamora is going to have ZA 610 like going towards it, or like ZA 305 because that means we're approaching Zamora. So if you know, like, if you see like a road number and you see like, oh, for the ZA abbreviation, I know that that equals Zamora, so I should just be scanning around Zamora for the ZA 605 or something like that. And it is just quite findable because of that. So that's a little trick for Spanish roads. But yeah, this one, yeah, will just be slamming Spain. All right. We got one more game here to go on this Play and Explain. It's running pretty much close to my normal time here. I feel like I've tried to explain as much as I could possibly. All right, this one, we have a yellow single center line with like these cat eyes, I guess, is what most Americans call it, or just reflectors in general. Which, I mean, this combo of single yellow like dash line with the cat eyes is very common in Brazil. And we have some red soil surrounding us, just a tint of a red soil, red tinge to this soil, which is also quite common in Brazil. And just a very like tropical-ish looking climate, I guess. And you will get these palms pretty occasionally. I think those are the most of the things that are telling me Brazil here. You play enough South America, you'll kind of understand that Brazil kind of has a distinct feel to it. And with red soil, like, honestly, Brazil is never a bad click. But these road lines definitely distinctly tell me, mostly Brazil. I mean, there are exceptions to every rule, of course, but Brazil will typically use cat eyes on a lot of their rural roads, especially. So it is a very useful meta, because like in Mexico, you will just see probably a single yellow line like continuous that won't really have cat eyes right in the middle of them. So very useful. And yeah, just Brazil here looks northeast, and it was Tocantins. Fair enough. All right, this round we move into Croatia was my thoughts here, and I think that makes the most sense. We don't have EU strips on these plates. We have, once again, this rounded pole that I talked about, where it gets a little bit thicker at the bottom. Yeah, at least I think it's Croatia. Hopefully it's not Montenegro. Like, Montenegro also uses these poles as well. That's another thing that I forgot. But yeah, another thing that tells me like kind of that Adriatic Sea region is like this like pretty gray to white looking mountain with like sparse bushes populating it, which is quite common there. I mean, it could just be Montenegro, you know. I think I'm leaning a bit more that way. Yeah, I think the combination of this, like, this facade, like, the landscape of the mountain just being very close to us, plus thick pole, I mean, we would normally see rifts. I guess we can slightly see a rift, maybe? I mean, we won't see a rift on, like, short antenna, because if you guys don't know, short antenna, like, pretty much will never have a rift in Montenegro or Albania most of the time. But there's, like, a longer variant to this antenna in Montenegro where you will get rifts, like, every time. Yeah, it looks most like Montenegro to me. I'm just struggling to think of where would have this mountain to the northeast. I guess we could just be on Kotor Bay, to be fair. Or Bar, maybe? Let's try Bar. Nope, it was just Croatia. Okay. So it was a yellow, full white plate. Yeah, it is. I mean, Montenegro would have the blue strips, but I just couldn't see. I mean, like, I don't know why I didn't trust this plate, actually. It's like, this is the most reliable plate here. Because it's the only one that I can see the left side of. Yeah, I don't know. That was a bit silly. All right, anyway, as you can see, you can have complete and total blunders like I do, and still get to 2K ELO. All right. So, I mean, we have Tripura written everywhere, but we also have these Assam palms, which are quite common in this area of India, as well as this area of India, and parts of Bangladesh as well. But yeah, I mean, we do have, like, some Hindi mixed with some English, and it also says Tripura there. So that pretty much indicates to me, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just Assam, right? Like, surely. Wait, where's Tripura? Bro, I'm having, like, oh. Bro, why did I think Tripura was a city? Anyway, the Assam palms, it says Tripura, which means we're somewhere in here. Thank you. We're right on the border. Okay, listen, guys. It happens. All right, we'll move on. 2 more rounds to get through before I can free myself from my own personal nightmare. All right. Bollard spam on corners like this are quite common in Russia, and you will get this variant of a bollard in Russia. Another thing that tells me Russia here is going to be these black bottom of signs, or signposts, rather, which, like, are 99% Russian in most cases. I don't think really any country uses this. Maybe you'll see it in Ukraine, like 1 out of every, like, 50 million locations, but yeah, it should be a Russian thing. We also have blurred antenna, which, I mean, is a bit more advanced, I guess. Yeah, you pretty much, like, with blurred antenna in this landscape, you pretty much just click in this region here, and you just hedge for, like, all this stuff. And yeah, it was north of Perm. All right, 1 last round. And we do have a striped signpost here, a white and black striped signpost. Plus, these guardrails are quite common in Peru as well, if you didn't already know from the signpost. Plus, the cinder blocks at the bottom of these signs here are also used in Peru over any other Latin American country. We do have Spanish here. And it says Amazonas on here, so we know we're somewhere in the Amazonian region of Peru. Amazon, Peru also likes to use a lot of tuk-tuks to get around, and a lot of motorbikes, not too many cars in this region. So yeah, we'll just be sending somewhere in Peru. I think I've gone over all the things that makes this Peru: the cinder blocks, the striped signpost, the guardrails, and those are our 3 clues there. It just ends up being north near Tarapoto. Okay, well, guys, it is been fun. We've had a couple of blunders today, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the format. Let me know your feedback in the comments down below, of course. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for another GeoGuessr video. Peace.